he kept his sense of humor at the very end. He's in the hospice, so he's in the hospice. We know he's dying. But he was lucid, and he said, he knew that there were all these emails going back and forth as we're giving updates. And he said, I want one email to go out, update number 47. Ron has something very important to share with you, but I can't think of it right now. So stay tuned for update 49. And that's word for word, practically what he said. And so his sense of humor could run the gamut from puns to subtlety to also a bit bawdy. I'm sharing this with my mother's permission because it just poignantly captures that he kept his sense of humor to the very end. He's bedridden. He hasn't gotten out of bed in a week. Not eating. Has no energy. We're watching him start to slip away. And there was a time when we all left and Mom was alone with him. And she said, Ron, all the children have left. It's just you and me. He said, great, let's get naked and run around the room. Every word of that is true. So the father I knew, the man I knew, Dad was a fighter. And we were really fortunate. The Wednesday night in the hospital, his first night in the hospital, first night of the many, the last trip to the hospital. I said, Dad, obviously this cancer is serious. He said, well, I fought it. I beat this cancer once before, 27 years ago. And I've always fought. And he walked me through all the ways that he had to fight. He had to fight to be a conscientious objector. He had to fight in the craziness of the prison, with the prison warden. Fight to found the school. He had to fight to get his degree. They wanted him to get a degree in counseling psychology rather than clinical psychology. And he had to fight for all of that. And he fought to the very end, clinging to the crucifix on his deathbed and crying out to Jesus. When we took him off the ventilator on Sunday, we said, Dad, it's Pentecost Sunday. He said, it's a wonderful day. Well, you can imagine that set us all off. The tears were flowing heavily then. And we thought he was going to pass on that Sunday, Pentecost Sunday. So, I learned virtue from my father. Love and perseverance, courage, humility. All right, Dad, I'll speed it up. Just being honest here. So I learned virtue from my father. And I've learned it from all of you Marian servants. And I know my father was certainly proud to be a lifetime Marian servant. And lifetime, obviously in his case, meant lifetime. He gave to the very end. I recently watched a video of his teaching from January of 13. And he prophetically said that, Mom, that you said that there is no retirement to Florida for them. Ironic, right? They're here in Florida. But his point was there was no sailing off into the sunset. He knew they would be working to the end. And he was sharing that, and you can imagine how amazing it is to watch this from 2 years ago, a teaching when he's sharing with the class, saying that they understood what being a lifetime Marian servant meant and working up to the very end and then with retirement. No life of leisure. But there again is perseverance. And charity and giving. Those are the things that I've learned. And so, of course, couldn't get over then, as I thought about my father, how much he imitated Mother Mary in all of those virtues. Loving and serving with total devotion. We wanted a romantic death. As all this was going on, we thought every moment was poignant. Right? Pentecost Sunday, noon, 3 p.m. Every time we were playing the Chapel of Divine Mercy, every 3 p.m. we're looking at it. Thinking this would be perfect. Every time Mom held him, oh, this would be perfect. Every time we're gathered around and praying a Hail Mary, this would be the perfect time. Because we had some romantic notion of when it would happen. Instead, we had to watch this painful agony of he was robbed of speech, robbed of eating and drinking, and then finally robbed of any acknowledgement of us. Because there was a time, even though he wasn't speaking, he lifted his eyebrow and we knew he was listening. To the point that there was no movement. And that's not romantic, really. That was painful and hard. But it all was according to God's plan, as Father Joe shared. Dad died at noon. Now, I think calling it high noon is funnier, because I was just going to say that noon, the time of the Angelus, the time set aside to pray to Mary. How fitting. My father is a Marian servant. He died on the Feast of the Visitation, a Marian day, where Mary goes to be a servant to her cousin. He died on a Sunday, Trinity Sunday, May 31st, which was also his parents' 73rd wedding anniversary. So we were looking for all these poetic moments, but God knew the best moment, the right moment. And so to quote Shakespeare, which again, Dad would be thrilled, I've got some Latin, some Greek, and now some Shakespeare. Ronald Abadi has shuffled off his mortal coil. And now he's got that retirement that he desired. He has his eternal rest, which he was fighting for and has so richly deserved. And I know that you join me in praying for that he's entered into his eternal rest. So thank you for coming out, being here with us. Particularly thank you on behalf of the whole family. I thank you for the prayers and the well wishes, the good thoughts, the masses, the mass intentions, the rosaries, the chaplets, the food that you've brought. So not only feeding us spiritually, but physically feeding us as well. We've been sustained by your prayers, by your love, and we were sustained by the sacraments. So particular thank you to all the priests and the deacons and the religious and all those extraordinary ministers who came, who brought us communion while we were there. It was wonderful to be together, to be able to receive communion together as a family with my father on his deathbed. So truly I say to you, when I say thank you, we really do mean thank you, because your prayers and the sacraments and the love of church has sustained us and will continue to sustain us through this difficult time. Thank you. I love you all, and we're so glad that you could be here with us to honor my father.